Kwamia, thank you for being here. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for actually having me. It's an honor, and I'm looking forward to this conversation. And let's just lay it right here on the mic.
Yes, let's get super real, super open and honest. Y'all know if you've been around here for a while, you know my platform. We have those uncomfortable conversations that people don't want to talk about, but it needs to be talked about. And being a survivor of domestic violence, this is something that I talk about all the time. It's not just 1 month out of the year, even though we love that October is Domestic Violence Awareness Month and it does get that recognition. This is something that a lot of people suffer in silence about. And when I'm able to come across guests like Kwamia who are willing to share their story of what they've gone through, but more importantly, who they've become, despite the dark shit that they've gone through, I'm going to keep having that conversation until I can't anymore. So I would love for you, Kwamia, to introduce yourself for people who are meeting you for the first time, a little backstory about who you are and what you do, and then we'll get into the meat and potatoes of this conversation.
Absolutely. So, of course, my name is Crimea, but many people that don't know how to pronounce it, they normally call me Q Kwai, the Queen. I am the CEO, founder, creator of Pillow Talk with the Tea podcast, as well as the founder of Empower Her Tribenation. I'm just someone who basically just like to inspire, empower, motivate, and encourage other people, not just only just women, because men suffer different situation when it comes to DV or just need that love too. And they have feelings as well. So I'm just here to do those things and just live my purpose. And I honestly turned my pain into purpose.
Yes, that is what this platform is all about. It's called Watch Us Thrive, right? And I think it's so important for us to have these conversations to let people know, despite you being in your season of darkness right now, it does not need to stay that way forever. And you do have the power within you to make that change. But I want to talk a little bit about Kwamia before you became the multifaceted bad bitch. That's what I like to call it. You know, you're doing all these things, you're living in your purpose, but it wasn't always that way. So take us on a journey of what your life looked like before.
My life looked like before was I was, as they say, a daddy's girl. I was a granddad's girl. But of course a little bit both of a daddy's girl too. I was just someone who come from such a huge family who poured into me, who inspired me, encouraged me, which that eternally is in me because they instilled it into me. They talk life, breathe, and infest those things in me. So, and just I'm an older sister. I am a cousin. I am my aunt. I am a mother, and I just basically am that black sheep of the family that tell people we're not sweeping it under the rug. We're going to actually speak about it. As a little girl, I always was the person that always sitting there. I would say what people didn't want to say. So I was that, and I'm always got popped on my head, almost in my mouth from time to time. But but they appreciate it now, though. That's the thing. But just growing up in that family dynamic was beautiful. We had our challenges, but we end up knowing how to get through it with communication. And just basically with my story going into growing up, that was my childhood, growing up as a teenager into high school, got involved with my high school sweetheart, who is my son's father and who is my DV abuser. We was good. We was amazing. It was fantastic. Like it was something out of the fairy tale book. I really couldn't believe that it was happening to me because I already thought it only happened on the televisions. But then again, I'm like, it could happen to me. It could happen. Like someone like this could be for me. Fast forward 5 years later, after having our son, the light bulb switched in on him. Completely a different person. I did not know where this person came from. I don't know what happened. I just didn't, I couldn't understand it. But of course, I did not enter into, after having our son, wanting to be a baby mother. I wanted to have a complete family. So of course, when things have changed, I'm still at awe. I'm still at shock. I'm still like, what is happening, trying to figure out, can I fix it or did I do something wrong? Those questions we ask ourselves, right? Putting it as on ourselves like we did something. And but come to find out, I'm like, yeah, it couldn't be me because I know I'm damn well doing everything I know that I could do. What you do? What happened to you? So it's a lot of questions that came into me where it's like, okay, yeah, it's only getting worse. And I remember my grandfather said to me, because he was the only person at the time I did share it with without really sharing too much detail, because I knew if I would have told him, my stepfather probably wouldn't even been here. In regards to that, I sat there and I told him, acting like it was a friend of mine. You know how you give those, me and my friend going through this, like type thing. So just to see what advice I could get without telling on myself. So he was like, well, tell your friend, because if it was one of my grandchildren, my female kids, or my kids, or any of my daughters, I would tell them, make sure it's not you, no matter what. It's either him or you. You better pick and choose. So I'm like, oh shit. Okay, what do I need to do? So of course, long story short, after everything, and like I said, they say that things get worse before it get good, and baby, it got worse. To the fact I found myself basically running out of my house in my underwear and my bras and panties, and just about this inch of the cordless phone hitting my ear or my face, because the wall was right there by the door. God graced and say, nope, let it hit the wall and not her. But of course, from there, I end up basically saying, I'm gonna have to leave. I have to leave because I don't want to leave, and I don't want to be a single mom. I don't want to be a baby mother, but I have to leave because I can't show my son that this is what love is. I have to make sure I be the epitome and the action of what I'm saying to him. And this time he was only about to be 2 years old. That is basically the whole story in a nutshell.
Yes, girl, I just commend you so much for finding that strength within yourself to walk away because it's not easy. And when you shared that last part, I'm thinking about my own story. I ran out of my apartment too after this man almost killed me. And that was really my come to Jesus moment. That's what I like to call it. That's what shook me to my core to be like, I literally almost died. And if I didn't listen to that voice inside of my head, to tell me to get out in that moment, I would not be sitting here today to have this conversation with you. So kudos to you, sis. And, I couldn't even imagine how hard it is because you do share a child with this person. So when you did make that brave decision to leave, how did really healing from that, how did that look like for you in the beginning?
It took a long time for me to even get to that place because I still was suffering with the fact of him stalking me, him trying to find me, him still wanting to be with me, and him still had my family fooled because I don't know what this is. And listen, I'm not the only person who said this happened to them, but it's like he showed my family a whole different version. But then behind closed doors, we went home. It was a whole different monster. So it took me a challenge before I could even heal because my family did not believe nothing that I was saying because he had them manipulated, hypnotized. He had them all in the palm of his hands. So my healing ain't begin immediately or not for a long time. So I was just basically just going through life, feeling like I was by myself, raising my son, but also still trying to make the best out of the situation that I was in. And then this fast forward, my family started to believe it after he showed them his true colors and his ass. And that's why I said God has a way of when people don't believe you, he said, be patient, my child, because yeah, they don't believe you now, but I'm glad you got out in the grace of listening to, like you said, that voice. Because at that time, when I left out that house, my cousin who did pass and was unalive from her abuser, she was the one who came into me in my head to say, when you get this moment and you get this chance, soon as he not looking, as soon as you got that opportunity, you run and don't stop. It was her. So in regards of them now saying like, oh, maybe she wasn't telling the, she wasn't lying. Oh, well, we do see it. It bothered me for a minute because I'm like, I am your family. I am your daughter. I'm your niece. I'm your cousin. How I'm your grandchild. How you not believe me? Only person who believed me was my grandfather. God rest his soul. He just was very upset with the rest of the family because it's like, Why would she make this up? So from that point, it was a struggle just to even begin my healing process, because again, just fighting with the fact of he won't try to take custody. He want to sit there and say that, oh, I'm just wanting him for his money. I don't want him to see the child. It was just a whole struggle with the whole parenting situation in between the family members. And then I would say about maybe 3 years ago, my aunt and my mother, honestly, and again, I've been way long gone from my son father. We've been apart for years, but just I guess like God said, people come to their fold in their own timing. They had to see it in their own timing, even though it's fucked up. But it's like, so it's like, damn, if I do tell you something happened to me, you gonna believe me this time, or we gonna have to go through the same shit again. So, but it was just the fact that maybe 3 or 4 years ago, my mother and my aunt literally apologized to me and said, I apologize for not ever believing you and what you told me that you was going through. And that right there took a whole, no longer was, it was a release. But my true healing began when I decided to say, okay, I'm taking my power back. I'm about to take my stance back. And I know my worth because I was told that I'm worthy, I'm beautiful, I am all the amazing things. I went to a women's retreat, a whole weekend with women's retreat, and that's when the time that I was able, because again, sometimes people think because you left the person, you no longer have to deal with the shit or the situation, which you still do, especially like you said, you have a child in the mix of the situation. But out of all that, and then people start slowly, and I said, and I actually, I kind of, but I didn't kind of, I say, you know what? Fuck, they don't believe me. Fuck, they don't believe me. Fuck him. I'm about to do what I need to do, because right now I feel like I'm not living, but I'm surviving, and that's not a way to live. So I finally sat there and started living. And then when that release finally came off of me and the shackles of the chains was released off of me, and he no longer was holding me down, is when I went to that retreat. And that lady told us, write down everything on each individual piece of paper that you want to be released and be unbondaged and unhold on you. And I didn't know how deep this was going to be. But when we went to that bonfire and we start putting that stuff in that fire, baby, whew, it felt like his hands was releasing off my neck. The bondage off my ankles was being removed. And I feel like I was able to finally come up from under the water and finally to breathe. And when I came back that weekend, I was a new person.
Yes, yes, I love that so much. I actually did something like that. I didn't go to a retreat, but one of the coaches that I worked with when I started my own healing journey, she told me to write a letter of forgiveness. And it wasn't to him, it was to myself. And she told me to burn it afterwards too. After reading it out loud, I read it to myself. I boohoo, ugly cried, Kim Kardashian ugly cried. But then that burning, it's so fucking therapeutic to see the ugliness that you've lived, that you've felt about yourself, that you've said, that you've gone through, to see it just dissipate into little pieces of ash. Oh my God, I recommend anyone, when you're ready to get to that point, to do some form of journaling, of forgiveness, of letting go, of releasing and burning it safely, of course. But girl, I'm telling you, I can just relate to that so much because it unlocked another level of healing for me.
It did. And it's so funny because it was one situation, and the girls could tell you who was at the retreat. It was this one piece of paper that it was about him. It flew away. And for some reason they was, and me, I was just standing there and I was like, well, let's let it go. They chasing it. They trying to chase it. And then as they chasing it, it flew back to the fire. And when it flew back to the fire, it finally burned. And the life coach and meditation coach, she said what it was is the fact that that just shows you that he externally didn't want to release you, but knowing the fact you're ready to be released from him, God brought that paper back into the fire, so making sure that you was able to now be fully released and to be unbondaged from his hold, to take your power back. Because it was so funny how it flew out of all the papers I had. Everything went in the fire. That one was last one. And I was just like, really? Are you flying away? I said, God, you take control, take the wheel, take control. So I'm standing there. It was like, Kwame, why is you not trying to get it? I said, listen, because if it's supposed to be unhinged from me, it will. And that's when it flew back. It went to the fire. But when it went to the fire, it didn't fully burn. So then they tried to take the lighter to burn it. And the wind kept blowing the lighter out, kept blowing the lighter out. And I know God, listen, bless her. Trisha was like, we gonna burn this paper. This paper gonna get burned. And then all of a sudden, it was one piece of a wood. I don't know how it happened. It just lit. And then it caught the rest of the paper on fire. I said, yeah, that's that determination. And then also that showed that was that sisterhood of teamwork because them women was there to help me to come up from that hold, come up from that water if I could finally breathe. That showed me right there the dedication of sisterhood that I wasn't in this alone.
Yes, yes. And that is so necessary when it comes to healing. I think leaning on community, especially when you're going through some really hard shit, you really don't realize how many people will really come to your rescue when you're put in those moments. But you can't really find it unless you speak up and say, hey, I need help. And being vulnerable and saying, I'm not okay, that is okay. And that's when the healing can start. So I want to talk about now your businesses that you have. I know you're a podcaster. Shout out to the podcasters. And you started your company called EmpowerHer Tribenation. So take us on a journey on how that got started and what really motivated you to start your own community to help other people out there with the things that they've gone through.
So to be honest, Pillow Talk was actually birthed after that retreat. So after that retreat, that was a whole detoxifying transformation that happened because after me coming from out of that retreat, I birthed Pillow Talk with the T. And just in the fact of even after a year before that, a cousin of mine, family member said, I think you should be able to create something, a platform, maybe a podcast where you could be able to create a space that you could be able to actually give people space to tell their story, but also for us to lend you to the world because you tell it like it is. You give us straight shooter. You don't chase it. You give us the straight shot. So they was like, you know what? We was blessed to have you. We ready to let the world have you. I said, I don't think these people ready for me. They are not ready for me because I don't sugarcoat shit. I ain't gonna play with you. I'm gonna make you, I'm gonna put that mirror in your face. Because if you telling me and say, Q, I need help, or this is what I'm struggling with. I'm that friend, I'm that sister, I'm that cousin, I'm that aunt, I'm that mother. I'm like, what we need to do. And again, I understand it takes people their own time and their own journey. So as I learned, let me lay the advice for you here, give you the tools. Now you figure out with the tools and advice I gave you the solution. It's up to you to what you want to do with it. Cause me, I don't like the whole repeat shit. I really don't, because now you're playing with my time where there's another sister, another woman out there who's really wanting the move. She's ready to move and she's in action, and you're holding and stalling my time. But so in regards of the podcast, I say, you know what? In the mix of me doing the podcast, I am encouraging, I'm inspiring, I'm motivating, I'm empowering. I'm also sitting here, also no holds barred, no sugarcoating, straight shooter. And so many women, even people before the podcast, was always used to come up to me, where you get your confidence from? Where you get your confidence from? I wish I had that confidence. And I tell them like, it's a blessing from my family because from the time that I was yay high, my grandfather always told me I was beautiful. I was a queen. Yeah, you are the light. You are worthy. You are the Mecca of Omega. You know what I'm saying? So I was sitting there always was instilled those things. So that's what all came into me. So that never was a struggle. So I said, you know what? I'm hearing so many women saying, I wish I had your confidence. I wish I had your confidence. So I said, you know what? What about me doing empower her in a tribe of a tribe nation? And that's where the foundation of the company Empower Her Tribe Nation, because with that, it allowed me to help people to reignite. Meaning that reignite means that if women who did had confidence, but either something in their life had stagnant or either blew out their flame, to make them no longer have the confidence that they once had, we're going to reignite and light that flame back. But also, I'm going to ignite, and meaning that that means that women who never had found it, never tapped into it, nor knew that they had it deep down in their gut, that they had the confidence and that they are a queen, for me to be able to finally put the flame to their candle. And so that where Empower Her Tribenation came from.
Yes, yes, yes. I'm so here for it. And I love seeing women of color in these spaces. I think it's so beautiful to see people who look like us, who have gone through things that we can relate to, and to show you, yes, there's some shit that you're going to go through, but look at what you can make of the darkness. And it can turn into this beautiful rainbow, the most abundant life that you can have despite what you've gone through. And that's why I love highlighting people like you who have been able to turn their pain into their purpose. And you're a living testament to that. So shout out to the work that you're doing, sis.
Thank you.
Now, I want to get some gems out of you for people who may have been or who are in situations that we used to be in. Speak to the person who's currently in a toxic relationship, could be abusive. They're stuck in this cycle of wanting to leave, but scared to leave, don't really know what to do next. What is a piece of advice that you would tell that person in order to really start the process to heal from what they've gone through?
I would definitely say the best advice that I was told, either choose you or him. Who is it going to be, sis? Know that you are loved, you are worthy, and you're meant to be here. Also, in regards to, even if you are afraid to leave, do it scared. Do it scared. But in the mix of you deciding to leave, make sure you leave and you go to a safe place. And when you make that final 100% guaranteed decision to leave, stay gone. Don't go back, because it only gets worse when you go back. It's not going to change. They could tell you everything in the world. They could buy you all the flowers, the roses, the jewelry, the diamonds, and the pearls, but it's only going to get worse because you put in their mind, oh, you left, so now I'm going to punish you. So, like I said, just do it scared. Just do it scared and run to a safe place. And if you don't have a safe place, take your time in the mix of finding that safe place and start preparing yourself to end up leaving and removing yourself out of that space. But again, it's either you or him, sis.
Yes, yes, absolutely. And I appreciate the fact that you said that it's not going to change and it is only going to get worse. I just think about my own experience. Every single time he physically abused me, it got worse every single time. And it wasn't until the last one that, like I said before, my life almost ended. And that was the reason for me to permanently walk away from that situation. I mean, really like ran away from it, but you know what I mean? But I just think it's important for especially women to know that it is not your responsibility to fix him or her, because women can be abusive too. And that's like out of your tax bracket. Like that he or she needs professional help, and it's not up to you to do that work for them. You need to work on yourself. You need to love yourself enough to be like, I'm fucking done. I'm not doing this shit anymore. I'm taking my power back by walking away. And yes, it's scary, but it's absolutely possible. We've done it. Now, I want to ask you one quote that you have here. It's, I am my sister's keeper. And I would love for you to talk about what that means to you and how does that help you with the women that you work with?
So I am my sister keepers did formulate from the Empower Her Tribe Nation, because I do truly believe, walk, breathe, and sleep that I am my sister's keeper. Just not me, just only being a sister, and how I have the relationship and created the bond and relationship between me and my own blood sisters. And that's what sisterhood started from with me first. But knowing the fact that I am my sister keeper is me being their accountability partner, me sitting there encouraging them when they're down, motivating them when they're down, inspiring them, reminding them who they are. Because sometimes we have to remind each other. Sometimes we forget, and we have to remind one another who we are, what our worth is. And then also the check-ins, the mental check-ins, the emotional check-ins, and just seeing like, are you okay? How is your heart? That is the defined definition of I am my sister's keeper. And just locking on and being right there with your sister no matter what she going through. You're there. You're showing up. Just your presence. And I even tell a lot of them, even if you don't want me to say anything, if you call me and we just both breathing on a goddamn phone, but you feel my presence and you feel my presence heavy, right? I'm there with you. So that's the epitome and the definition and the stance of I am my sister's keeper.
Yes, I love that. And if you don't have that in your life, y'all, you can absolutely find that, like working with Kwamia and being a part of her community. At the end of the conversation, I'm going to leave all of her info so you guys can follow her and see how you can work with her. But I just think it's so important to, like we said before, lean on that community. Y'all, when it comes to being in toxic and abusive relationships, it is very lonely. It is very isolating and you feel like there is no way out. But once you lean on that support that you probably do have in your life, that is how your life can start to change, knowing that you don't need to do this alone.
Absolutely. And I would say this too, because this is something I had to later learn too. Yeah, we are born into a family, and sometimes you may not get the support that you need from your biological family. But let me tell you something, go out there to create your own family by creating your own community and your own tribe with the like minded, heart minded individuals. Because again, sometimes your family may not understand. They would never get it because being a DV and being a DV survivor, this is not our new makeup. That's like if you taking a pair of pants to the tellers and you just bought the pants, but now you have to alter it. We've been altered for a lifelong, forever lifetime because we're not that man or that woman we were before that first punch, before that first drag, before that first black eye. We are not the same people. We are completely different. So that's what I mean by we are altered. Our life is completely altered, and we're gonna forever have to be able to manage the different ways of how we move and who we select to come into our life because those are lifelong triggers. And then knowing the fact that you please and play, and I pray that you get a therapist or a life coach because it's very mandatory and it's very important. And those people will give you the tools of how to now maneuver through your new life because it is a new life. It is.
Absolutely. I mean, I just think about the girl that I was when I met him. I met him during COVID. Complete 180 to who I am today. But I had to really go through that ugly stage of my life in order to be the woman that I am today. And for that, I am proud of. I could have gone without that trauma. I wish I didn't have to go through that. But being on the other side of it now, I'm absolutely grateful for it because look at who the fuck I am because of that. I think that comes with the healing, that comes with the growth mindset that you're able to build when you do that work. Now, I want to ask you, being a trauma survivor, I was diagnosed with PTSD, and there are still moments where I'm triggered. There's moments where my anxiety and my depression take over, and I cannot fucking get out of bed. So I want to know for you, how do you really maneuver those moments on your own healing journey that are not so pretty to deal with? And what is some advice you would tell someone who is currently struggling in their season right now?
I would say how I actually maneuver those things that because I still have those traumas, I still get those flashbacks and those things, and even the fact is the I feel like in my situation is very uniquely defined and made because my son looks like mine. Yeah, so it's that's another thing I had to be able to manage and speak to my therapist about, and finding the tools with that. And then him growing up, because now he's 23, I'm seeing some of the mannerisms that I'm like, woo, what's going on? And it's very challenging every single day, but I have to take myself out of it and say, he is not him. He is his own individual. And my son do know my story. He does know my story because I did share with my story at when he was at a appropriate age. And so I have to remind myself he's not him, and and he his own individual, and that's your son. But also I told my son, listen, these certain things I need for you not to do because they are triggers to me. They are very alarming to me, and it reminds me of your dad. So, knowing the fact you know my story, and if you love me and you respect me and you honor me to protect me, please respect my boundaries and my standards. And I said, and it's no harm to you, it's no mal type of thing to you, and it's not like I'm not really looking at you trying to see him. It's just the fact that you are your dad. Like at the end of the day, like you look like him. I had a child by him. But also the breathing exercises, meditation, read this constantly. And I would definitely say affirmations definitely help. And I can't say enough. My therapist, she almost a best friend in the way. Because I'm telling you, I will call her at times like, hello, I need you now. She's like, we need an emergency call. Absolutely, please. Because she even helped me to manage me through even when I had those challenges and those waves, the roller coasters with my son, because it's hard to sit there to really see some of those familiarities that my son has and those mannerisms that he had that his dad had. And I'm like, oh, Jesus, you're testing me. Why? So, but again, that's just on me to also talk to my son in regards to him being careful because knowing the fact I see the warnings and I see some of the signs, I'm seeing it. Me and him have our check-ins. Me and him have our mommy son talk, which we've been had a long time ago. But now, since he's 23, the conversation changes. So I have to tell him like there's some of the stuff that your dad used to do. So I need you to check in and check that because I don't want you to be that. But also I would sit there and tell women, number one, get a therapist. Two, give yourself grace. Give yourself time. Don't beat yourself up. It's okay. We are human. And just take one day at a time because that's my motto: 1 minute, 1 second, 1 hour, and 1 day. I don't think about what's about to happen 5 minutes from now because I'm not there yet. I'm right here with you guys, talking to you guys. So this is when I stay in the presence. So in regards to, and I would definitely say do affirmations, do some breathing exercise. Take your time with this things in life because again, you're not the same person you was before the situation happened. So allow yourself that growth and that transformation. And again, just speak life into yourself because remember, we could be our worst critics, but we also could be our biggest own cheerleader.
Mm, absolutely. So many good gems that you're dropping. I do want to ask you, so someone who's might be in an abusive relationship right now, but they're not really sure, what would you say are some warning signs or red flags that they should look out for that could potentially be that you're in a dangerous situation?
I would say the easy anger, the easy snap, angry, this bursts, this coming out of nowhere because we all have anger, but if you are a person that's not that human being, you're not tapping into your angry side just like that. We got tools to say, okay, let's talk about this. Let's have a conversation. But just those angry outbursts, triggers of just coming out just to be angry, the controlling, the very much controlling this, what he wants you to wear, what he don't want you to wear. Look out for the signs of, are you still the friends with the same people that you wasn't before? Because they would isolate you from your family and your friends, and it's just you, him, and if you may have a child, and that's all. You have to be careful. So those angry outbursts, those controlling notions, and is he also pushing you and swaying you away from your family and friends? Those are much things that you could be aware of. I'm trying to go back in my mind as I'm talking to you guys to even try to see if there's anything I could remember that was I could now look back and say, damn, that was the red flag, and I didn't even notice that. Listen to your gut. Let me tell you that your gut, your intuition, it's the God in you. And that part of you is not going to lie to you. If it feels like it smells like it looks like it, guess what? It's it. So trust your own intuition and your own gut. And if you need still clarification and confirmation, pay attention. Pay attention to a whole lot of things. And even if you could be able to reach out to other people who have survived and who went through it and say, hey, my husband or my girlfriend does this. Is this something that you went through, or is this something should I be aware of? Because again, create that tribe and that village, because we are here to help. There's so many of us out here that you could reach out to and could help. And even calling the hotline would definitely would tell you, you could talk to them too. They would tell you what those triggers or those red flags and those warnings are as well.
Absolutely. Shout out to the hotline. We'll leave their resource in the show notes for you guys. They're available 24/7 and it's confidential. But yeah, man, I'm so glad that you brought up the intuition part, because when I think about my own relationship, before it got physically abusive, it was very much verbal and emotional, and he was cheating on me throughout the entire relationship, and I consider cheating abuse. But my body was telling me that something was off. I remember there was one point, Q, that I would wake up fucking nauseous every single morning. And me and this man were living together at the time. Well, he was living with me because he was a broke ass piece of shit. And my body, like, I was just physically feeling ill and like in this fight or flight mode without it being physically anything at all. But that was my body telling me, like, sis, this is not right. I realized it now, being on the other side and doing my healing work. But y'all, especially women, that female intuition, that woman intuition, it is there to protect you, and we need to listen to it more, because 10 times out of 10, it's right.
Yes. And this is another one. If he or she accusing you of cheating and you know damn well you ain't doing a goddamn thing but going to work and coming back, taking care of kids, or you basically in the house because you know how he or she gonna act, guess what? That's because they are doing it and they're only trying to throw their own flaws and cheating on you. That's all it is. That was my biggest thing that I seen. I was like, oh shit, that's what he doing. When I connected that, I was like, yo, why is this man? Because I was like, how he accusing me of cheating when literally when I was driving to work, he was on the phone with me. When I got out of work, 1 minute to the clock, he called me. He was even on the phone with me in the car driving home from work while I'm parking the car. He on the phone with me, parking the car. Up until I got upstairs in front of the door, putting the key. So I'm like, where in the hell did I get time to cheat if I'm basically always on the phone with you? So that's why I connected. So when they're doing that and you know you ain't doing that, it's they because they're doing it.
I can attest that too. It's so crazy when I talk to other survivors, even though our stories are very different, there's so many similarities that we all have. It's like these motherfuckers follow the same blueprint. Like, oh my God.
Like, did they go to a fucking abuse training? Like, what
Yeah.
the fuck?
I mean, there's so many other red flags to look out for, but like I said, listen to that intuition, listen to that gut feeling, and safely, if you're able to make a plan, please make a plan to leave. But sometimes it's in that split moment, like for me and Q, like it was life or death, and we decided that we weren't going to take this shit anymore, and you can do the same. So, thank you so much for sharing that. So, okay, looking ahead with your podcast and the Empower Her tribe, what are your goals? What's on the horizon? What's in the future for you?
Ooh, good question. So I would say definitely for the podcast, we are looking to do a live show. I would say 2025. I'm looking to go out there to touch the people, feel to get the energy. People could come connect with me and we can have these uncomfortable conversations, no longer sweeping on the rug in person. And it's gonna be a whole live show. Ooh, it's gonna be good. Because I'll be having it all in my head. Trust me, if you guys knew, well, like I know my notebook is like outlined with the whole stage and the whole show from the beginning to the end. So I'm looking to do that with the podcast. With the Empower Her, I'm looking to do like Empower Her Tribenation brunches. I want to do some retreats that I'm looking to do in the future. I also have my wine line coming up in another year and some change because I want to take the time with that because I want to make sure I get the right blends and the right palettes of going because you know our girls and our gentlemen love they wines, you know. But y'all make sure that red and white is good. So because I want it to be for everybody, even if they people like that Merlot or that you know other stuff. I want it to be for all taste buds. So I'm taking my time with that. And I also have the home essential lines, meaning like I love pillows, I love throw blankets, I love the smells like scents, candles, aromatherapy, the essence of the lavender and lemon. So I love those type of things. So that's what's really going to be in that line. Don't look for no sheets and no pillowcases too much. But I probably do a pillowcase. But besides the throw pillows and the throw blankets and the candles and the diffusers and the infusers, those will be in there on the website. What else a girl going to do? A girl just basically just going to do what life basically move her way and what God put inside my gut and create in my brain another avenue of some creativity. I'm just going to end up doing, and that's I'm going to continue to do is continue to empower and inspire and encourage women. And what I decided to do because he did plant it in my gut. It's so funny that we now having this episode because last night I said I'm about to make a segment, but I'm going out in the streets called I Am My Sister's Keeper. Who? I am my sister keeper. And it's like, it's so what is it? It's I am my sister keeper, be a jewel in our crown. And this is gonna be a segment where I'm not just talking to people, I'm actually leaving notes and giving to women notes of reminders of who they are. Just tapping them on the shoulder, giving them a note and walk away and they read it and it fulfilled them with some amazingness that they probably needed that reminder because again we need to be reminded. So I'm about to hit these streets and actually pour into my sisters.
Yes, I am so here for it. I mean, this conversation was supposed to happen in this moment. So thank you so much for sharing that. Please let people know how they can follow you and work with you and the biggest takeaway that you want people to have listening to your story.
The biggest takeaway I want is be unapologetically who you are. Don't be afraid to be you. Give yourself time and grace as well as trust the process and who you are. That's what I would definitely say. And of course, you guys could find me on all social media platforms from Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. And you also could be able to go into the link of my bio. You could email me as well as if you want to be a guest or you want to have anonymous letter that you want to send me, but not have me say your name and you just want advice from me, you could send anonymous pillow talk with the T letter and I will read your story on air and I will give you advice.
Yes, so we're going to link all her info in the show notes. Kwamia, it's been a pleasure to sit here and learn more about you. Continue doing what you're doing because you are changing lives and saving lives with the work that you're doing. So thank you so much. And I can't wait to continue working with you.
Yes, thank you so much. I appreciate you.